go, Jim. He's dead.
Hello, and welcome to Improv Autopsy. I'm your host, Stephen Cadwell. This is part 2 of my interview with fabled actor and amazingly talented improviser Lauren Pritchard. Find out more about her via the links in the show notes, and shoot me an email as well if there are questions you'd like me to ask my guests, or guests you'd like me to ask my questions. But right now, enjoy part 2 of Lauren Pritchard's Improv Autopsy. So when you're at Comedy Sports or doing your thing at Universal, what would you say was the worst audience interaction that you've had or witnessed?
Oh my goodness. Luckily for me, I'm someone who I never think there's a bad audience. I always feel like it's our fault if there's a bad audience. But again, active shooter was not great. I don't enjoy watching someone do like domestic abuse in front of me. That's always tough because like, how do I just pretend that's not happening? I really don't think there's ever a bad audience. I think the only time I've ever felt like, oof, this is really hard, is if it's like 11-year-old's bar mitzvah. There's no adults in the room. You two improvisers are on your own. Goodbye. And like suddenly we become babysitters. I just feel like that sets us up to fail a little bit because it feels like there should be other adults in the room who can discipline them and not us. If it's a child of a certain age and we're in charge of them. Again, I work in children's theater and children's entertainment, so I'm very comfortable with kids of all ages. But there's a certain boy age that's, I'm going to make your life tough. So it's like, there should at least be one other person in the room who's not us to keep rein in on that a little bit, just so we don't have to discipline them. Because I never want to tell a kid what to do. It's not funny. You know what I mean? Like, I never want to be like, shh, sit down. You know, like that feeling always feels bad. The only hard parts have been like an earthquake happened during an improv show and we had to tell everyone to remain calm, stay seated, and then we calmly told them to stand up and evacuate with us. We went outside, we all waited, and we came back inside and warned them there might be aftershocks. That happened in my early days in LA. Even drunk audiences don't worry me. Like, I think that's what SAK theater trains us so well to do, is we're not frazzled by anything. I think because we get those 3 different time frames of shows, gives you the training for any audience, especially once you guys start serving alcohol. It changed everything.
Yeah.
And even really disruptive audience members or fights and stuff like that, we've always handled it with aplomb. I think that when you're a really skilled improviser and MC, you could kind of handle it. And the worst comes to worst is you ask the stage manager to help.
Yeah.
We're so well trained at being like, I got this. That even my worst moments, I'm like, oh, I've always had someone around me who's so able to handle it with me that it's been like, it's okay. Even really awkward, bad, uncomfortable moments, you're like, oh, no, I got it, you're cool. The only thing that was like out of my control is like natural disasters and an active shooter. That's like the worst to me is that. But I'm like, no, even then. I've had like a spider land in the middle of the stage. Oh, I can tell you my own personal one. This is really dumb. This is my own personal one, so it's not audience member related, but it's my worst moment, I think, on stage for me personally. And it goes back to the high school improv show we were doing, which is an improvised Gossip Girl style show. It's a really funny show called The High. And it was really well received. We had a great run, and I played this dorky librarian type. I think I was a school secretary or something like that. So we get a suggestion from the audience. We get 3 suggestions. This will happen in the show, this will happen in the show, and this will happen in the show. And the last thing that was going to happen in the show was someone gets shoved into a trash can. And they voted my character get shoved into a trash can. And I was like, that's funny. Okay. So they put a trash can on the side of the stage that's a full-size cylinder style, what are those metal cylinder style trash cans? And they put a fresh bag in it. So if I go in, it's going to be a fresh bag. Cool. But because I'm a committed improviser, I dove all the way in, stood up, and ran around. And the cylinder shuffled down my body to below my waist, which means I can no longer bend over. It suctioned onto my body because the plastic bag that was inside, and I was the exact same size of the cylinder that was inside. My hands were over my head. The structure slipped over my hips. I was stuck and suffocating.
Oh, no.
Immediately. Because I'm like screaming jokingly, and then suddenly I was like, and the plastic goes into my mouth, and I can't lower my hands because my hands are over my head. The cylinder is below my hips, and I'm literally in a metal cylinder on stage, running around, trying to get funny people to save my life, and they're all thinking I'm doing a bit. And I'm like throwing myself down on the stage and trying to back out, but I don't have the power to get out. I was panicking, and luckily I was able to run off stage and scream to another improviser, help me! And they were able to like lift it off of me. But for a second I was like, oh, I literally can't bend over because I couldn't touch the top of the can and I couldn't get my hands below.
Yeah.
I was literally stuck in a shell the size of my body with plastic over my face. I literally, for 30 seconds, was like, this is of course how I die. Of course. This totally tracks. This, of course, is how I die. 100%. This is how I die. And I'd be like, all right, yeah, if this is how I die, this is in the news, that's fine. I hate it, but all right. Because I was starting to like kind of like see the light, like a little bit, like a little like white light, like sound like for a second, because I was losing oxygen fast. So that was a moment.
Did they believe you when you told them that's what was going on later?
Yes, of course, because they were like, we could kind of hear. They're like, we could kind of hear you start to make noises that didn't seem funny, and I was like, yeah, yeah, that's the Yelp for life, dude. That was my death rattle you were hearing, dude. Yeah, good times, good times.
Was that the end of that bit?
Yes, thank goodness. That was the end of that bit. That was the end of the show, I think. That show was a great show. It was really fun. We had like Chris Tallman from Nickelodeon was in that show and some really great improvisers, Josh Dean, some really incredible, like Wayne did a few shows. It was a really cool all-star show that we did. It was a really fun run.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to switch gears a little bit. I have kind of a Proustian questionnaire, and you can talk as little or as long as you like.
Cool.
Great. Lauren, how do you get into the proper headspace to play?
For me, I think taking those few moments before to take a few deep breaths. I think deep breathing, especially if you're coming from traffic or a busy life, just a few deep breaths backstage. A handful of ibuprofen if you're over 40 and some water. But I always love to do a mind meld with someone on stage, especially if it's like a 2-person show. I always do mind melds, like the 1, 2, 3 word, and try to get to the same word with each other. Back in the SAK days, we did hacky sack with each other. I think just taking that moment to take a deep breath with your cast members before you go out, because I think it's really easy to get really scattered and busy before you go on stage, especially if you're nervous or if it's a corporate event or whatever. Take the moment to be like, hey guys, it's just us. It's just us. Let's all get together and do one warm-up game where you're really in the headspace together, where you feel like we're all on the same page. Even just talking about your life that day and kind of doing what we're doing right now is talking about your life can just kind of connect you to each other as humans, because I think we get very scattered by life. So I just think that those deep breaths, and then Kelly and I always do mind meld, or improv people just do like one quick warm-up to kind of be like, together. And again, that hacky sack was so dumb in the 90s, but I really do think it really helped us just center each other and be together. Whatever that is, whatever your group does, just take the moment to center yourselves and block out the rest of the world. And don't worry about comps, concessions, audience members, whatever. Just like take a moment to be like, it's just us. Especially if you're on a team. Like, I know SAK does teams. It's like, it's 3 of us. Let's go. Just the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Do you have a favorite get for?
I don't. It depends on what show I'm doing. So every show is different for me. I prefer to go to the audience as much as possible. I know a lot of my long form shows I do, we just get like one thing at the top, then we just go. Like if it's long form Shakespeare, we just get a reason to fall in love or whatever. Lorelli were like, give me a red flag. Oh, he didn't like my grandfather. Great. Then we just go. I prefer my get fors. A day in the life is my favorite. I love doing a day in the life. Like that is my go-to favorite, is to do a day in the life scene, where I can do a day in life musical, a day in life Shakespeare, day in life in any genre is my favorite, because people love to hear their own story replayed. I did as a kid. I remember going to SAK Theater and them doing my life, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I think day in life is my favorite. Then I think as clever improvisers, we should always give the audience a really easy umbrella. Instead of saying, give me a word, any word is annoying to me. Think, give me a location, and not saying non-geographical, because if you say non-geographical, people only think of maps. That doesn't, no one says the word non-geographical in any other place except for improv. Non-geographical makes me right away go, map, Jamaica. Like, no, just a place you would love to visit one day. Excellent. Now, when you get there, where are you going to go? So if someone says Jamaica, you go, great. Now you're in Jamaica. Where are you going to go? Because Jamaica is still just place. It doesn't give you anything. If they go a coffee shop in Jamaica, that's a place. If you say a house, great. Where in the house? The library, that's a different scene. So like getting specific as possible is so great to me, I think. Or I love also asking for an old-timey occupation. So going like a job that one of your family members had a long time ago. Because I think we get a lot of very modern-day white dude jobs a lot. And going like, where did your family member work a long time ago? She was an Avon lady. That's so great. That's such a different scene. He worked at a taco truck. Awesome. He was a newspaper boy. Awesome. But we get a lot of like Starbucks, which is, okay, we've all been there, done that. If you could get a really specific genre of a work location, it can be great. And then I also love getting genres. I love doing improv in genres. For me, I think it shows so much more magic than just doing a scene of 2 dudes sitting at a coffee shop. I would love to see 2 dudes on a spaceship, way more, personally.
Still drinking coffee, but in a spaceship.
Yeah, ladies on a spaceship, yeah. But not the last ones. That was crazy.
Well, in terms of a Starbucks or that kind of thing, do you have a suggestion you think is overdone or you get too much or just a least favorite suggestion?
I will say, I think coffee shop. It was funny, right before the pandemic in LA, we're trying to do a lot of diversity workshops and trying to just be like, hey, let's be aware of who's coming to our shows and what are we doing? In LA, I'm generally not meeting my friends at coffee shops that much. I'm meeting them at taco trucks. I'm meeting them at places in LA that are cool. And two bros at the end of the night are not going to coffee shop. They're going to wind up after the bar at a taco truck. Probably two people sitting down at a coffee shop to me is boring. That's very 1990s to me, which is fine. It's totally fine. And it really does happen in real life. Of course, people go to coffee shops still. But it's like, where do you and your friends really go? Go on a hike. Go do a hike and have a coyote cross your path. That's so much funnier to me than sitting in a coffee shop where you have to invent a waiter coming in. Just think outside of where would you really go? Where am I really going? I'm floating laundry with my friend who has a baby. And I'm holding the baby and the baby explodes while I'm holding the baby. Like, not explodes, but like the diaper explodes. Yeah. That's more real life than going to a coffee shop. So I think coffee shop and bar are kind of just overdone. I just think anything that you're like, not to be derogatory towards white men of the 90s, but I feel like there's white 90s man improv that's like kind of set in our brains that we can think outside of, because you go like, just always improvise in your real life. Like, what would you do in real life? Where would you really see your best friend right now if she called you or they called you? Or where would you really want to go right now with your loved one? Where would you really go? Probably not Starbucks. No offense to Starbucks, we love them. But like, where would you really go? Don't do generic scenes because that's what we learned in our improv in the 90s. Let's explore our real lives. Because I think, as we've heard the word before, truth in comedy by Del Close, there's truth in comedy. So the more truthful you can be to real life currently, it's going to be funnier. And also, comedy hates confusion. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it what people know. Let's keep it what people can relate to. Because the more you have to explain and get it out there, comedy hates confusion. They don't like to know, like, what's going on? Who are they? Why are they there? It's like you understand if as soon as you go, like, two women in a sauna. Oh, I don't want to take my towel down. Oh, I feel saggy. I'm too saggy to take my towel down is a whole different scene than two women at Starbucks, yeah. Right? Or like, oh, I'm going into labor at Starbucks is different than I'm going to labor in the SeaWorld Shamu Stadium. Get her in the water, toss her in the tank. It's like, it's a whole different scene, right? You've got other tools to use there. And I always feel like you're giving yourself more tools to use if you put yourself in a cool environment. Like, I'm going to labor at this magic show at the Magic Castle. Oh no, which wall was the real wall? I have to find the secret book. Oh God, I have to find the secret book. I'm going to labor. Is way more fun than I'm going to labor at home or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. There's just more tools to use.
Do you have a favorite way to burn a suggestion that doesn't inspire you?
Yes. So I will literally say the suggestion out loud. Like, let's get a suggestion like a coffee shop or a bookstore. And I'll like, say the words. Or my other favorite way of getting the suggestion I want is I'll go, can I please get a style of theater? I'll say it like this. Theater, and do a little flair with my hand, and they always say Shakespeare, which is what I'm hoping they'll say. Or they'll say something kind of like that, Dickensian or something cool. But if you say a style of theater, they're going to say musical. But if you say a style of theater, they'll always say Shakespeare, which is like you kind of toss it there. But yeah, I'll literally, when I ask for a suggestion, if I don't want one, I'll burn it. I'll go, can I get a room in the house? Like a bathroom or a bedroom, like a room like that. So I've already said it,
yeah,
and then they can't say those. You just burn it by saying it out loud first. They go like, the living room, great, a living room, great. Let's move this couch. It's a different scene than a scene in a bathroom. And again, too, even if you get the suggestion bathroom, if you're a good improviser, you know you don't have to do a scene about poop.
Yes.
You could be tiling a bathroom. You could be putting in a new wallpaper as a newlywed couple. You can be the handyman who's uncomfortable because the woman has to keep coming in to clean something, whatever. I love, like, you know, seeing a bathroom and be like, oh, I'm the guy who works at the club who's got to hold the mints. Who's like, sir, mint, sir. Like, that is, they're the girls who are supporting each other who are crying in a breakup. So even if you get bathroom, which is the worst suggestion, quote unquote, to get, there's so many. I've had 1,000 lifetimes in bathrooms as an adult. Oh, I've had 1,000. So it's like, there's so many scenes to go on where it's like, you're pulling your husband into the bathroom to talk. We're going to leave this baby shower out of this bathroom. I'm going to give you the signal. We're going to leave this baby shower. What I give the signal. What's this signal? You know, like that whole, you could do a whole scene about that. You don't have to be pooping just because they say that.
Amen.
Right?
What do you look for, or is there anything that you look for when you need an audience volunteer? Is there any tricks that you have to finding a good one?
Yeah, eye contact is huge. They're like looking you in the eye. It's not always the loudest person or the most eager person. It's not always the person with the hand raised. So I personally always say, is anyone celebrating anything tonight? Birthdays, anniversary celebrations. If it's a general show, I'll always ask for celebrations because there's usually someone celebrating something. Or I'll say, is anyone celebrating anything recently? I think that's a great way to ask because then they get to be volunteered. And generally, if they are being celebrated, their whole group will be like, yay! And they kind of have to. But if they say, no, 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 then you say, great, because you're the birthday boy, who would you like to nominate? And that person will always go up. Always, because it's their birthday. They will always do that. So I always ask for celebration first. If I'm not at a place like that and I'm doing like a corporate event, I will sometimes ask for like, all right, so who do we think had an incredible day? Or I'll even say like, who's a muckety muck? So I'll ask for like an important person in the room because if you're doing like a corporate event, they want to bring their boss on stage. The boss will come on stage every time. A, they're the boss. They love to be the center of attention. But B, the audience loves their boss be kind of roasted in a loving way. I'll just say, tell me anyone an interesting day in your life. Who has had an interesting day? Maybe you got a free muffin or you had a baby. You have a nice new car or a cat who doesn't scratch you. I want to hear. And usually someone says something. A great example is just this last week, I did a show at a very fancy old folks home here in LA. And I won't even say the word old folks home. It's very like a retirement condo. Like, it's a beautiful place. Like, we should all be so lucky to die in a place like this. Like, it's a beautiful place. They're all executives from Hollywood. They're incredible people. And I said, does anyone have a story to share? And a woman said, oh, I've been married 51 years. And I said, oh my gosh, to who? She said, this guy right next to her. And I said, how'd you meet? She went, I don't know, because she had Alzheimer's. So I was able to ask the husband, do you recall some of the stuff? If not, it's okay, but let's walk through it together. And he was able to recall some moments. And we did a Shakespeare day in the life of how they met. And afterwards she went, that was exactly how it went. And it was so sweet. So I just think being like, is there a celebration? Is anyone wanting to celebrate something? Is there a mucky-to-muck here? It's better than just calling on someone who's being like, ooh, 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 me, because they might be a jerk. And then worst comes to worst, you find the person who's giving that aggressive eye contact, who has the eyes of a small doggy who's like, yes, I want to come up. Then of course you call them, and you can kind of feel it out. But I generally try to avoid the person who's like too eager, or I definitely don't go to the person who's avoiding eye contact and not wanting to do it. No,
Yeah.
I never force anyone on stage, as we know from our SAK rules.
Yes.
And also, if you volunteer a friend, you volunteer yourself. Is the rule. We know that.
How would you describe your onstage persona? Is onstage Lauren different than everyday Lauren?
Yes, I think so. I mean, hopefully not too much now that I'm older and wiser, but yes, I think onstage Lauren is way more confident than offstage Lauren. I always joke that a cocktail party or 3 people, I'm terrified. I'm self-conscious. I'm in the bathroom. 1,500 people on stage, I'm so comfortable. I'm so comfortable. I just emceed that show yesterday where I felt so comfortable because I was kind of playing a slight character of the MC Lauren Pritchard. I wasn't actual Lauren Pritchard who had to talk to a bunch of hot golf rich men. I would have been terrible as a woman just having to go like, hey guys, how you like golf today? I would have been terrible. So I think my onstage persona is way more confident, and I think we all know that. Like, there's that feeling where you're like once removed from the audience when you're up on stage, for sure. And I'm way more confident, and I also think that I get away with a little bit more. I can be a little saucier than I would be in real life, and I speak slower because, as you've probably noticed, I speak very fast and slurred in real life. I'm slurry and fast and apologetic. Like, I'm so sorry I'm talking, I'm so sorry I'm talking. But on stage, I slow down and I pick my words a little more clearly and slowly, I think, when I'm in front of people, because I can see them going, huh? And I also think that I'm way more on stage dialed into the people around me. My husband can attest to this. He just walked in. I think in real life, I get very up my own butt with a coconut. I'm very self-conscious and taking care of myself. But on stage, I'm very aware of everyone around me and taking care of everyone around me. Where in real life, I take care of myself more. So I'm just trying to take care of myself and do my own business and take care of myself. But on stage, I become very aware of taking care of everyone around me and their needs. I do that backstage, on stage, before a show, after show. I'm just very aware of everyone's needs around me so that we have the best show ever. Because I feel like if I make you look good, you make me look good. We're making each other look good. We're all feeling good. And the audience feels that. The audience feels that play together of safety and play. And I think the difference between stand-up and improv is in stand-up, I make myself look good.
Yeah.
In improv, I'm making you look good. And that's the difference of real life and Lauren life. Of like, in real life, I'm probably making myself look good all the time, which is terrible. In improv life, I'm always making the people around me look good. And that's like that switch, which I think parents do naturally. And I think friendships do naturally. And we as partners do that naturally. And I think that's what makes improvisers such cool people. So I think improvisers kind of click into that, make each other look good all the time personality, which is why everywhere I go, people think I work there. Because I'm always like making aggressive eye contact and being kind to strangers. I show people where the exits are and the bathrooms are, and they go like, "Oh, I don't work here." Like I do it all the time. I'll like show someone like literally like, "Here's the diapers." Oh, by the way, I don't work here. They're like, "Oh, okay, thanks, cool."
What inspires you on stage?
Other people's magic inspires me for sure. Other improvisers inspire me all the time. But I honestly think people's real life stories inspire me a lot. I think I'm constantly inspired by real people's magic. That's why I love Day in the Life so much. Is like you could literally hear a person's real life story, redo it exactly as they said, and it gets a laugh because real life is better than writing. Like that's why scripts make so much sense and relate to us. If the story goes the way you thought it would, because that's what humans really do. And one of the things I love, and I'm sure you've experienced this before, I love when I'm on a bench, I'm not in the scene, I'm just watching the scene, and I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I'm not in that scene. I would have totally screwed that up. They're so good. I love when I'm watching a scene and I'm like, they're so good. Oh my gosh, they are so smart. That was so funny. That was so smart, so fast. I'm so glad I wasn't in that scene. I would have known what to do. Because they're just, sometimes our friends dazzle us with comedy and you're like, how do they do it? Oh, that's so cool. And I love whenever I'm inspired by musicians, musicals, theater, movies, and my fellow improvisers where I'm like, wow. How do they do it? I love that. And I find it gets rare the older you get, the more you're less like shocked by each other. But when it happens, you literally feel chills and it's so great. And I love just being dumbfounded. One of my favorite improvisers who works bluer than I do, her name is Edie Patterson. She's from Los Angeles Theater Sports, but she's on Righteous Gemstones. And she's a very, very brave, very strong improviser who's very famous now. She was at Groundlings. She's in 1,000 TV shows. She's most notorious for Righteous Gemstones. So if you don't know her, look up Edie Patterson, Righteous Gemstones. But Lisa Fredrickson and I, when we first moved to LA, did a tournament for theater sports in Georgia, in Atlanta at Dad's Garage. And we were both kind of self-conscious because we were the only females in the entire tournament for some reason. And so I joked to her, I said, hey, let's pretend we're Edie Patterson this whole weekend. And we did. And we'd dominated. Because the secret is that Edie is so confident. She was raised in a loving house. She's been raised with love and confidence. And she just is confident. And she's hilarious and smart and all the great things also. But she just doesn't have a lick of self-consciousness about her. She's just a really dynamic, incredible improviser. And so I played the role of Edie for a weekend. And then I realized, I was like, oh. And so that's one of the improv exercises I teach when I teach improv. I do a workshop called Improv Your Life, which is like putting improv into your everyday life. And it's like, hey, walk around the room and pretend you're the person you envy the most in your life. Like, who do you envy? Just walk around and pretend you're them for a little bit. And how do they talk? And how does that feel? Just pretend you're them for a bit. Just talk like them, act like them. What are their mannerisms? How do they act different from you? What's different? And then can you adapt that and adopt that into your real life? Like, why not? And playing Edie for a weekend made me go like, oh, and I think that's where I really became like a ballsier gal, was like, oh, she's hot, she's funny, she's young, but she's so strong and plays like one of the dudes, and you would not know the difference between a dude improviser and her if she's writing the scene. And that changed how I walked through improv for sure. Just pretend you're the person you envy. How do they act? Just be them. Pretend you're them. Play that character for a weekend. How does that feel? And I think that could apply to job interviews, first dates, meet the parents, whatever. Pretend you're the person that you envy. How do they act? And just be that. Just do it. And then afterwards be like, what can I take from that? Cool. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Is there anything that shuts you down or takes you out of it on stage?
Yeah, I think there's definitely any physical abuse, any sexual or physical abuse is not okay for me. Anytime someone pushes my sexual boundaries or physical abuse, physically or sexually, it's not okay. Most improvisers this day and age would not do that, but you can feel it when it happens, and the audience does too. But touching me, hurting me, not okay. Anytime you're derogatory towards me as a woman or a person, not cool, for sure. And I'm generally just a positive improviser, so I always hit the ball up, as I keep saying. So when I'm with an improviser who says no but or is derogatory towards an audience member, especially in the theme parks when someone's being mean to a guest, I'm just not okay, dude. That person paid so much money to be here. Why would you ever be mean to me or them? So I just always feel never be mean to anyone on stage unless you're playing a bad guy and it's parody and I'm gonna win at the end of this. We're doing a Shakespeare show and you're playing the bad guy. Cool. But if you're just playing my husband and you're just kind of being to the moon, Alice, not okay for me. And also backstage, anytime there's mansplaining or being a jerk, because I hate to tell people, but women are dominating comedy right now a lot. And look around, the executives around the world, we're either non-defining our sexuality or we are women. And so it's just don't be dudes got it figured out. be cool about that. Don't be like ever put down someone because of their sexuality or their sex. Keep it very gender neutral, and not mansplaining is a big deal. I did the show Mad TV, which is awesome. And again, as I said, like sometimes a joke would get repeated louder than mine in a male voice, and that hurt. And it's like, I get it. And I wasn't being dominant enough at that time because I was too self-conscious. You feel that like over-talking women or putting women down or be like, shh, 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 honey, we got this. Let the guys talk kind of vibe. It's just so out of date. It's just outdated. And so it's like, not only is it like not cool, it's just outdated. And I think eventually it will hurt the dudes more than it hurts us. But I think women are so smart and funny and cool. And as you know, at SAK, there's so many amazing dominant females. And like not even worrying about the sexuality of people and just being like, we're all just improvisers. Because when you improvise really well, we're all pretty androgynous. That's the beauty of improv. We're literally all androgynous when you improvise really well. You don't have to worry about who is who. You just get to improvise and be anybody you want every scene.
Yeah.
So I just don't like when someone puts me down because of my size, sexuality, even age. If they make you feel old, if they make you feel young, it's lame. We are every person. When we're improvising, we can be anybody. And so if someone's too old, don't make an old joke. If they're bald, don't make a bald joke. If they're young, don't make a young joke. If they're skinny, don't make a skinny joke. Just see them as a whatever character they're playing.
And do you think that Amy Poehler's is the best road to take when encountering that type of stuff on stage?
Unfortunately, yeah. Like if you're against the wall and you get dealt that hand, you always go back to make each other look good. So even when I'm dealt a bad blow, I'm going to make them look good. So even if they did something, they wronged me bad, I'm going to go, great. I'm going to hit the ball up and make you look good.
Yeah.
So I've had that happen to me many times on stage where someone says something terrible to me. And then I go, okay, honey. And I flip it back up. So if someone goes like, you burned the lasagna again. You're a terrible wife. I know, honey. I burned the lasagna because I was making you a surprise gift. I'm so sorry. Here's your gift, a new fedora. Oh, I feel like such... But you know what? I have a spare lasagna. Don't you worry. And while it's cooking, we get to smooch in your new hat. You just make them look good. Whatever they say, you're like, I know, and yes, here we go. You just make them look good. As long as you make each other look good, if you take nothing else away from me saying anything to you today, it's make each other look good, you'll work forever.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go.
You may have already answered this in some ways, but in your estimation, what makes a good scene partner?
Listening. I loved James Bailey, who runs Comedy Sports Los Angeles, one time said, we're not making it up. We're listening and reacting, which is what improv really is. Because people go, you make it up. It's like, no, we're not making it up. We're listening and reacting.
Yeah.
And in that, we make each other look good. And I think I kind of brought that into Comedy Sports Los Angeles. So the kind of SAK Theater's motto for a long time was we create joy for the audience by playing together. Because when people play together, it creates joy, which makes people want to play with you. So when you see people playing a game, you're like, oh, I want to join the game. Like, that looks so fun. That's why game shows exist. SAK Theater has that. Comedy Sports has make each other look good. So it's like no matter what is happening that night, we make each other look good. And I think that carries over to everything. Whatever you're going through in life, I'm going to make you look good. So, brother dead, make each other look good. Guy said something bad, make each other look good. Someone did a stinker joke on stage, make each other look good. And that's where like that misbehavior camp comes in at SAK Theater. If a dude runs off stage and into the audience, I'm going to make you look good by chasing you into the audience. I'm not going to just stand there on stage going, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
I'm going to run off stage there and chase Chris into the audience and make him look good, right? I'm going to go out there with my car and run into the audience and stand on the chairs with him and go like, where are the audience now? I'm not going to let him just fail out there. We all go down with the ship. So I think make each other look good is my thing, because then you can perform with anybody. New improvisers, bad improvisers, audience members, especially if you want to go into the commercial acting world, which is where I make my most money, is a lot of times they send you into a room, they're like, oh, we're just going to improvise this one. And so it's like, okay, my job is to make the person with me who might not do any improv at all look great. Because then they know that I can be on the set and make anyone look great.
Yeah.
And make the writers look great. So I'm going to just, whatever they say, I'm going to make look good and just make it fun and make it positive and make it cool and act like it's not a problem. But I'm never going to say anything bad. Because again, you could feel when someone spikes the ball down, they get a laugh. Like, here's your wife. Oh, she's ugly. Ha ha ha. Spike the ball down, but then where do I go from there?
Yeah.
Well, dude, now I want you to leave my anniversary because that was really mean. Like, that's a spike down. They'll get a laugh, but the joke's over. But it's like, there's your wife. Ooh, that's the girl from high school everybody loved. You got her, dude. High five. And then you've got a whole game there. You can keep going forever. It's like, how do you open the door to a game? You make it look good and you spike the ball up and keep that balloon in the air like little kids do. You don't let the balloon hit the lava. You keep the balloon up. And I think that works in life. So anytime someone's going through a hard time in their life, or anytime you meet a new person, make them look good, make them feel good, build them up. Say hi to the waiter. use the person's name, compliment someone, pay for the tolls of the people behind you on I-4 when you're wanting to kill everybody when you get to the toll roads. Just keep building each other up. I think will always keep the scene and the story moving forward. Works great in business, works great in life. It's the basics of yes and, but it's more advanced. It's yes and because, or that makes me think of, and it's also, I'm here to make you look good.
Do you have any advice that you would give to your younger self?
Yeah, I would have told my younger self at 18 to have more confidence. At 18, I didn't know that I had the power I had, and I think I could have done a lot more at a younger age, and I would have definitely told my younger self just to not be so self-conscious, and I think I had a lot of imposter syndrome a lot, so I'd get really cool gigs and then apologize like crazy the whole time, which I think is relatable to a lot of us who are nice comedy self-conscious people. I would just apologize and act like I didn't know what I was doing, but I did. I just had it naturally, but I didn't know that I knew already. So I think like just be confident in yourself and don't apologize. When you get the gig, be thankful, be grateful. Don't make people take care of you by apologizing. So I think when you apologize, you make people take care of you a lot. Just be like, I'm here. I know what I'm doing. I've got your back. If you don't like what I do, just let me know. Totally cool. But I'm not going to say I'm sorry. Because if I say I'm sorry, I'm making you take care of me. So I'm just going to be cool and confident. I would say I'm sorry a lot less, I think.
Do you have a favorite type of character to play?
Yes, I always played Dickensian orphan all the time because I can explain. When I grew up, I remember going to see the movie Annie, and it changed my life. It was 1981's Eileen Quinn Annie, and it changed my life. When I saw Annie, I was like, oh, that's the thing. Like, that's it. And just watching, like, Annie and Oliver and Newsies, like that, Jeepers, we gotta pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get going. Gah! Like that, I play that character a lot. I love low-class, blue-collar, Dickensian, innocent, probably gonna die of consumption by the end of the show kind of character is my favorite. It's rare that I play the damsel or the dame or the sexy whoever. I love playing a dying child. I don't know why, but I just think it's really funny, and it's such a like go-to like low status. Oh, jeepers, because they can also be a cool pawn in the show to kind of move the story around and get the story going. But yeah, I definitely default to Dickensian low class for some reason. But then on Mad TV, I played mostly dudes and British people for some reason. So if it's improvised, Dickensian. If it's scripted, I play a lot of dudes or like sturdy like TSA, pre-check people, a lot of like camp counselors, a lot of like park rangers. I just did a Reese's commercial where I'm definitely playing a very sturdy park ranger. I definitely play a lot of sturdy women you want in the apocalypse who probably wear a government uniform kind of person is definitely my go-to character for sure.
If you could do a scene with anyone living, who would it be?
I will say John Hamm. This is just off the cuff. Because he's actually really, really funny. He smells like Christmas all the time. I've met him once. And he's like intimidatingly handsome, we all know, of course, and he plays very high status. So I think my low status character could be really good to his high status character. And he's also one of the nicest guys in the world in real life. Like, he is so nice. And I'm lucky to have met him a couple times, but also in real life, he has been the kindest person to so many of my friends who work with me. And I think that he would play a really funny villain to my low status, like secretary type person.
And when you say Christmas, what does Christmas smell like to you? Is it cinnamon? Is it pine? Is it snow?
Yeah, all of it. Like, he smells like Santa farted. Like, I don't know. He's like cinnamon, nutmeg, apple cider. It's it's just like when you squeeze a strawberry shortcake doll, they like farted strawberry. He just farts Christmas. It's, yeah, nutmeg, apple pie, goodness, wealth, handsomeness. Yeah, Christmas. See, I won't say Christmas, I'll say holidays to be non-denominational because it's just the smell of the holidays. Exactly. Yeah. And also, like, he chopped down a tree, probably also is in there. Yeah.
If you could do a scene with anyone no longer with us, who would it be?
Back to Robin Williams, for sure. Robin Williams, 100%. Number one.
Yeah.
Second, Lucille Ball, for sure. I think Robin Williams, for sure, he and I would be a weird, like, have they both done cocaine vibe, but neither of us would have. We'd just be like, no, this is who I am. And then two, Lucille Ball, who, I don't know if you know this fun fact about her, that, like, she, like, discovered and made Star Trek.
Yeah.
Do you know this about her? She's the queen of sci-fi. She was so smart, and I think because she was so hot and because she made herself act a little bit more babyish or more female than she needed to, but as she got older, became more of a broad. But like the fact that she's the reason Star Trek exists is incredible. And I just feel like if I could do a scene with her at 50, when she was like 50 years old, when she was like really in the pocket of Lucy and really in there, I think that she would have been incredible in an improv show.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sure she improvised, but I haven't seen it. But I bet her as an improviser, if it could be me, Cara Bonnet, Lucille Ball, and my improv partner Kelly, and Robin Williams all together in a show, like that explosiveness would have been incredible. But yeah, to meet her would have been incredible. Like incredible.
If you could do a scene with anyone fictional, who would it be?
Abu from Aladdin. So do you know the monkey from Aladdin?
Yes.
So again, Robin Williams in the pocket there. I love Abu. He's one of my favorite fictional characters because he literally, along with the genie, that whole movie, kind of took on the character of different, he like had lashes sometimes, like, and he like pretended to be the female, but he emoted so much without saying a word. And I love playing animals without speaking a word and showing the audience so much emotion without having to say a word. The same thing I love about the rug in that movie where they like emote a rug with just the tassels like leaning down. I love the personification of animals and emotions without any words is one of my favorite things. So I do play a lot of animals on stage. Maybe not my scene partner's favorites that I do, but I do. But I feel like audiences love when you go like, as an owl who's like, and the whole audience knows what the owl is thinking just by how you're playing it physically. I think is amazing. I'm sure there's other fictional characters I would choose. The second would be George from It's a Wonderful Life because I love him.
That would be an interesting scene as well.
Yeah.
In the one with Abu, would you be an animal in that scene then as well? So that was you and the monkey, or would you be the human to the monkey?
Probably if I had my druthers, I would be another animal so we could have a whole scene without dialogue.
Yeah.
And let it just be music and sound effects and our amazing space work and bodily moves that made it happen, for sure.
Yeah.
Then I might switch to a human who comes and goes, you two break it up! But I'd probably be a female monkey falling in love with Abu, for sure. Because Abu should have had love. When he got turned to the elephant, I was like, not interested. No. I like him in monkey form. Thank you very much. He was good as a monkey. Him and the elephant was fun, but that little vest, come on. He's so cute. I got a little crush on Abu.
It was a 90s comedy vest.
Yeah, 1994 comedy vest. What, right there?
What do you find most helpful from the booth?
Ooh, because I've worked in so many different booths, it's so different. Because SAK Theater booth is so different from Comedy Warehouse booth, which is so different from Comedy Sports booth, which is so different from Universal Studios booth, where I work in my comedy show every day, 4 days a week. So SAK Theater booth, what I loved is if you pull out a gun, it goes off.
Yeah.
There's no check-off gun. If you pull out a gun, it goes off right away, which raises the stakes and immediately makes you make a choice. They're also just so hot on the thing. They'll do a quick blackout. They're really good at the music, like coming in after the scenes, which is so great. So I love that. I love the quick blackouts. I love how sharp, and they're improvisers most. Cut to Comedy Warehouse at Disney. They would throw a spotlight on the audience members that you're talking to, which I thought was really cool because you don't get that at SAK or other places where there's a literal spotlight on the audience member. And they were always really sharp with the music cues. Really sharp with sound effects, music cues. They knew how to like throw in a sound effect or a, this ride is out of order when a person made a bad joke, whatever. They would like throw in these funny little go-to bits. Comedy Sports, the way they did it, which was really cool, is they do it sounds like a sports announcer. So they'll be like, talking about the next scene. This next scene is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Coming over to you is, what are you doing on the field? What are you doing on the field? Hey, thanks, Mr. Voice. We're going back to, what are you doing? This next scene is called, what are you doing? And they like, so it's like a sports announcer, which was the fun part is they would do like kiss cam. They'd go to the audience for like this fun, like you're at a Dodgers game. So it felt like they're like, da 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 da. All right, this next scene is brought to you by this guy in the front row. Get up, this guy. You get some Cracker Jacks if you pass the t-shirt. They do that stuff, which is a whole different vibe. Then at New York Window, where I currently work, is we have sound effects that get us into our show and out of our show. So again, we're doing a 1940s improvised Neil Simon show at Universal Studios, where the genre is we're husband and wife, and guests walking by are in the New York, Brooklyn, Bensonhurst world. So they'll be like, arf, arf! And we open the windows, go, sorry, buddy, you want some fresh air? Open the windows, we do some talking. Then he'll do another sound effect that makes it sound like, oh, the dog got into some trouble, or there'll be music or a door buzzer that gets us back out of the show. So like as long as it like helps yes and the suggestions and get you forward and backwards. What I don't love is like throwing in sound effects for no reason, blacking out scenes that aren't ready to be blacked out, just kind of driving too hard. It's like really just being in that give and take. And I think because SAK is so good at that, they hire improvisers.
Yeah.
Which I love. So I think that beautiful symbiotic, they know how to support the show. And if you're wearing a mic, make sure that I can be heard and I don't get a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I equate text a lot with being a host. It's a skill set that makes you more aware of lots of things you wouldn't have been aware of otherwise.
And if you do it, because I've done it, I've been in the booth many times. So when you're in the booth, and at SAK, I was in the booth, and also at Comedy Sports, I was in the booth a lot. So you get to know that world, and it makes you really learn more about improv when you're up there.
Other than laughter, is there an audience sound that you revel in?
Well, first of all, yes, of course, group laughter makes you have the chills. I love the gasp. People go, like people actually like gasp, but they're surprised by a moment in the narrative, and you can literally hear people go, especially when you're doing a long form show. People like literally go, oh my gosh, and yeah, like I think that is so exciting. Like the actual, like, oh my gosh. Sometimes people will say the word out loud that you're about to say. Like you'll hear the audience like say the same word you're about to say, which I think is so cute. There's also happens a lot. I get a lot of oh, which I know is kind of a go-to obvious like sitcom sound, but if you can make the audience literally go, oh.
Yeah.
Is so cool. And sometimes it's pretty sincere. Sometimes it's like, ah, but like if you get a sincere, ah, it's really great. And it happens a lot in scenes where you can really have that sincere moment. And then after that is a huge laugh. You want to get shock, laugh, ah, huge laugh. If you can do that, you've taken them on a journey that's not just a slappy, wappy show.
Yeah.
You're getting them on an actual theatrical experience that they'd have on Broadway, which is great. Yeah.
What's the worst venue you've played?
Good one. Oh. At this age, I've had so many. But one of the weirdest ones was it was a fundraiser for pets with Comedy Sports in Los Angeles. And we were on a median in the center of a street with cars going by.
What?
And it was literally on the median of the street. So people had to like run across traffic and sit down on one of the 12 folding chairs in the direct sunlight while we were like doing pet jokes. And it was literally in the middle of an intersection where cars like going by us in a very busy LA street. And we're on a tiny concrete median. Literally. Like literally. I've also done hospice, old folks' homes. Again, I will say bar mitzvahs of 11-year-olds with only kids in the room. Not so great because, again, they become Lord of the Flies and overtake the room. I've done on the beach, where it's like direct sunlight on the beach, where we had to build sandcastles and do improv at the same time. So it's just like very hot and just very sunburned. I've done a lot of like carnivals where you can't really hear each other and they can't really hear you because there's like rides around you. There's also been some overnight. Currently I'm doing a lot of Zoom shows. I work for a really cool company called Laughter on Call, which I highly recommend you look up if you are interested. They started in the healthcare space working for dementia patients, trying to connect them to comedians and improvisers to help them find their voice and their stories and just listen to them. Then during the pandemic, we went on Zoom. So we started reaching out to all companies. And so we're able to kind of reach out to more and more and more companies to find our voices together and reach out and find more and more people that want to be connected. So a lot of it is like dementia care, but some of it is also like Amazon. So like, for instance, I'm going to Amazon in Seattle in a couple weeks to help the muckety-mucks of Amazon launch satellites into space through improv. But then I also was in an old folks home last week. So it's like, you just never know where we're going to go. But there has been some of those where they're pretty much a tough venue. Because you might go like, oh, they're very in Alzheimer's. And we have to like really take it back and really realize where we're all meeting together in this space together, which could be so rewarding and amazing. But also you have to go like, oh, in this moment, I'm now realizing I can't ask you what your favorite color is. I just have to say, what do you feel right now in front of you? I'm going to put an object in front of you. What does it feel like? Okay, great. We're going to do a scene about that. You just have to like take it way back.
What is the best note or the best words of wisdom you've received?
Again, I'll say comedy hates confusion. So don't be confusing. Be very clear and deliberate. Be big, bold, and deliberate. Make each other look good. And be the person everybody wants to work with, which kind of goes hand in hand with make each other look good. Just be the person people want backstage on any gig. And even if you're not the funniest, smartest, coolest comic, as long as you make each other look good and you're the person people want to work with, you'll work forever. And comedy hates confusion. Be very clear, big, bold, and deliberate. That, to me, is the best. And if it doesn't feel good, change it. So, like, if you're not liking where you work, quit, move. If it doesn't feel good, change it. It doesn't mean if you don't like it, quit necessarily, but it is true. Like, if you're at a job that you're like, ugh, I hate this. You can't blame everyone around you. It might be you. It's okay to adjust, change. Either change yourself or change your environment or change what you're doing, because the common denominator might be you. So like if like everywhere I go, everyone's so mean to me. It's like, well, wait, everywhere you go? Wait, you might need to change something or you may need to change where you're going. So yeah. But I think the biggest one is make each other look good.
What about the other side of that coin? What is the least helpful note you've received or can conceive of?
The least helpful note I'm scared to say out loud, but I will say it, is I was working with an improv partner who talks a lot and is pretty negative, and I was told, around this person, you should just talk less. Just let them talk more. And I was like, wait, what? Yeah, just be smaller because they're so big and they're so negative. Like, just talk less. I was like, okay. That's kind of the opposite of what I do, but okay. And I did, and it worked, and it's totally fine. But I was like, well, make yourself smaller because they're so big is like a weird note to get, I think. Personally, yeah, I think it's weird. And I think also the other one, I also got told, let's talk about what we're going to do before we go out there. And I think that's always really hard because for me, I'm like, oh, I get so in my head.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing, like, knowing your games is fine. Knowing the structures you're going to do, or like, at SAK, we plan our games at least. In comedy sports, we do. But going like, let's start the first scene like in a rainstorm. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to mess that up. I'm going to forget that. I can't. Or like, I never like when we get too much information about the day in the life before the show. I know SAC does that where they get that big worksheet backstage if they bought the game. And
Yeah.
And it's like 30 pages of stuff. I'm like, I'm not going to remember that. And I always want the audience to hear us get that information in front of them so they know that we didn't pre-plan anything, because that's the magic. So I never like when a company gives me too much information before I go out there. I'd rather learn it in front of them and be like, tell me about your company. Great. Now we're going to do a scene doing that. But when I already have it in my back pocket and I just say it, too much of it, it's like, well, they're pre-planned it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It breaks that magic a little bit.
If there were Academy Awards for everything improv related, what would you be nominated for?
Me? I think puns. I would say puns, musical improv, and energy. I don't ever have a low energy show. So I think puns, musical improv, and high energy are my 3 awards I'd be up for. If I won one, it would probably just be like puns, honestly. Because again, SAC, I think, dialed me into puns because of 99 Blanks. We call it 185 out in LA, but 99 Blanks. But like, I have the pun disease. But I think out in LA, they might nominate me for musical because I direct a lot of musical shows out here. I think that short form music and doing long form musicals is a real special skill that not everybody has.
Yeah.
And I think if you do it really well, it's like a real gift. So I might be up for that. I probably wouldn't win it over Wayne Brady, but I'd be up for it.
With your energy, are you exhausted after a night of shows, or do you recharge as you play?
I'm high on stage energy until I get home, and then I'm zoinked after the show. My husband knows I get very quiet when I get home and I just fall asleep and watch TV. Yeah, I think I'm just generally a high active person, but then as soon as Netflix is on and I had a glass of wine, I'm like, because I work in a theme park all day, I give so much energy to others all day long that it kind of is where my energy goes. But I think people who know me know that I'm generally high energy in general. I talk fast, high energy, and it's not fake. It's really who I am and who I like to be. And then when I'm not that person, though, people are like, uh-oh. Oh no, are you okay? So when I am not on, people are like, oh no. I've literally had a boyfriend break up with me because he was like, that's not who I thought you were. So I was like, no, well, I'm not like that 24/7. I have to sleep sometimes. But he thought I would be just like that. And that's what I learned about Robin Williams. I think I said this, that Robin Williams is so funny and so on, but off stage he was very shy and very self-conscious off stage with me, and very quiet and just very like respectful and quiet and self-conscious. Like you could feel that he was like nervous around people as himself, but on stage he was so outgoing. And I think that's pretty natural for most of us outgoing on stage people. Is backstage as ourselves, we're a little more self-conscious. Like at a party, again, I'm like, hey, but on stage I'm like, yay.
If you are remembered 100 years from now for something improv related, what would you want it to be?
I think building the audience members up and making my partners look good, but most of all, I would want to be remembered for making audience members as themselves feel seen and elevated. Like, I love the idea of someone who is different feeling important. So if they're plus size, if they are a Dickensian orphan, if they are an animal who's a small monkey in a vest, if they are whatever. I just want to make people feel seen by me and elevated. And I hope that there's legends of generations of people who became better people because I was their improv teacher, so that their family members became family or met each other. They met their spouses. They became comics. They became stars. They became movie stars. They became TV writers or whatever because I was their improv teacher at one point. To me is really big deal because I've had the ability to teach thousands of people over the last 30 years of improv. One of my friends was his improv teacher, and he writes for Kimmel now full time. He's a Jimmy Kimmel writer. And I'm like, that's so cool. I have these students who are way more famous than I'll ever be that are like way famous. And to be like, oh, I hope that some kid is going to Harvard because I taught his father improv. That's so cool. That's so cool. The guy who wrote Despicable Me and the Minions, I taught him improv. And he thanked me, and I was like, oh, glad I could help. very famous dude who wrote Schmigadoon and the Lorax and all these amazing things. I taught him improv. I didn't make his career. Obviously, he was already a famous, cool writer dude, but I helped him along his way. So I hope that I inspire people to be their best selves, which is what Lucy and Carol Burnett did to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yay!
That's it for part 2 of my interview with Lauren Pritchard. Find the show on Patreon for fun bonus content, and reach out to me if you have any questions or comments. And if you've time and inclination, leave a review of the show on whatever app you're using to listen. And thanks for listening to Improv Autopsy.